Today, Melinda, open homosexual lifestyle for 30 years. Then she returned to church and asked God, what's right and wrong?
Restoring hope, open my heart to sing, taking the darkness inside, revealing your light, restoring hope, open my eyes to see the world through different eyes, revealing your light, restoring hope.
Welcome. This is the weekly edition of Restoring Hope Live at restoringhopelive.com. I'm J. Michael McCoy. If I haven't told you lately, thanks for listening. Love this job. Couldn't do it without you. Today, a light subject. Just easy to talk about. Something that very rarely any of us ever think about when we go to church or when we go to Sunday school or when we raise our kids. No, it's actually probably the opposite. This is one of the most difficult conversations for Christians to have in today's society. Okay? What does God say about homosexuality? And what does God say about that particular sin compared to other sins? And how do we as Christians, Gentiles and Jews, Pharisees and non-believers, deal with those people who choose to live a gay lifestyle or who believe they have no choice as to the lifestyle they lived? Melinda Stoner is our guest today. I've known Melinda many years. The bravery that it takes for this young woman to come out on this stage, I want you to send glory, praises, and prayers for her to God today, and just thank him for people like Melinda who are willing to take the scales off of other people's eyes, especially her own, and speak the truth about her relationship, her personal relationship with Christ, and how that's impacted her lifestyle as being homosexually active. Also somebody that, if you listen to our local shows, we have on quite often, Brian Leach, who's just a great man of God, and Melinda's story touched Brian 4 years ago?
Yep.
To the point where it changed the way you looked at things.
Yeah.
And
I get pretty riled up in
yeah.
defense of her story.
Good. And Brian is here to lend his voice and also to lend support for Melinda. We have the usual crew, my co-hosts, Dr. and Pastor Mike Hartwig, who's my regular co-host, and of course Bob Montserrat, the Cat in the Hat, whose worldwide expertise on alcohol and drugs probably won't enter into this too much today, although there are a lot of people out there who, because of the guilt and shame society puts on their sin, turn to drugs and alcohol. And we have a wonderful partner in Transformations Treatment Centers. Go to our website at restoringhopelive.com, click on those links, and talk to them about the things that they offer for you and your family who are suffering from life's hurts, habits, and hang-ups. All right. Mel, thanks for being here.
You're welcome.
Phone lines are open. You can call. I'm going to say something that you're not going to like. If you get nasty, I'm going to hang up on you. And I'm going to trace you. And then I'm going to let live chickens go in your house late at night. So this is not a show in which we're going to pass judgment, or we're going to decide that we know what the Gospels say and what God speaks to Melinda's heart, or Brian's, or mine, or Bob's, or anybody else's. But if you'd like to share your story in this struggle, if you'd like to ask questions, maybe like me, you have a child who have decided they want to live the homosexual lifestyle. My youngest daughter has made that choice. And how does that impact the way I look at this subject? And is it in difference with my relationship with Jesus, or does it fold into the nest of it? I would challenge you to make sure it folds into the nest rather than making a negative difference. But at the end of our 30 minutes today with Melinda, we'll have a wrap up and we'll give this conversation. But your voice is always welcome at 1-855-244-0077, and we'd love to hear your emails and phone calls and all of that. All right, Melinda, welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Born and raised, siblings?
I have siblings, yes.
Okay. Is there any other people in your life, in your direct family, who has lived a homosexual lifestyle or wanted to?
No.
Okay. Has your family accepted that was your choice for 30 years?
Yes.
Really? From day one?
Yes.
Good for you. You got good mom and dad.
Yes, I do.
I'd like to meet them. Because 30 years ago, folks, that was what, 1980? That isn't today. So go back to being a little girl, all right? And it's Valentine's Day, and we all make up the little Valentines and put them in the box in the classes.
Yep.
Did your heart feel that twinkling towards a female more than a male?
Mac, I really can't answer that completely. I would say no, in the sense that, everything is pointed at you in life to be straight. You're supposed to have boyfriends. You're supposed to have this and that. However, I was sexually molested from about 4 to 16. And that changes how you see life.
Sexually molested by a man?
Incest.
Okay. Okay. We'll just leave. You don't want to go any farther on that.
It doesn't matter. I have no problem talking about it.
Okay. So what is a family member?
It was, yes.
And
my brother.
Did anybody know about it other than
Nope.
you and your brother?
I would not tell anybody.
Okay. And do you believe that sexual molestation, that sexual abuse, played into your feeling you had a homosexual lifestyle?
Yes, to some degree. It wasn't just that. I also, one brother sexually molested me. The other one kind of took me around the neighborhood a little bit. And, I was like the neighborhood whore at like 7 to the neighborhood kids. So it was really odd because when I got around, when you're asking me the question, I'm coming back to the question you asked me originally.
Sure.
When I'd get around little girls in the playground, I couldn't talk about normal girl things. I would be embarrassed. I'd get embarrassed and blush. And yet I had a boyfriend and I wanted a boyfriend because that was the right thing to do. And of course you had sex with them because, in first grade and kindergarten, that's what you do, right?
Really?
So my life was a lot different than a lot of people.
So you're having sex at 7?
Yes, sir.
Wow. Okay. And you wanted it? Not from your brothers.
I didn't. Is it want, Mike? I don't know that at that, or Mac. I'm not sure at that age that
you know
what you want, but you did want it in the sense that you want the affection, you want the attention,
That's
you want to
what's
be
normal.
loved, and you watch videos, you watch TV, you see people getting together. So yeah, you want to be normal, and when things aren't normal and you're hiding secrets, you do what you can to make things normal.
Where were your mom and dad in this?
My mom and dad were there. They did not know it.
They didn't know.
Nobody had a clue.
Did they have a healthy marriage from
yes.
from your
I had
side?
I'm very blessed. I'll be honest with you.
Right.
I'm very blessed. I had a great childhood.
Right.
I had loving parents. I had great family. My family loved me very much. We supported each other. I still have a great family.
So did your brother, when he was doing all this, did he harass you at all and say, hey, don't tell anybody about this? Or
No,
did
he
you
did not. Actually, I told on my one brother and didn't tell on my older brother. I loved my older brother. My older brother has a birth defect, and I think, I'm a social worker. I think there's always been a part of me that wants to protect somebody, and I loved him, and I wanted his attention. He was like 10 years older than me, and he just never felt like he fit in. So I never told on him because I just wanted to be able to hang around him. I wanted to be
So why?
loved.
Who told you that was wrong and you needed to tell somebody?
I told my family when I came out.
Oh, that this had happened. What was
Yes,
their reaction?
And nobody knew. I was 21 years old, and my mom says, "How in the heck can you be gay? You don't even like to get dirty."
Yeah, right.
And my response was, maybe it has to do with this. And they were astonished. And they didn't know what had happened. And my sister heard my story actually for the first time probably in 2008 when she and I went on a mission trip to Ghana. But my family didn't know. I'm very good at keeping a secret.
Right.
I'm a social worker.
You had 2 brothers that did this?
Yeah, one stopped at a very, very young age.
All right.
But took me around the neighborhood and played strip pokers and different things.
Do you have a relationship with both of them today?
The youngest one, he died.
Okay.
When I was 18 years old.
All right.
And 17 years old. And then the older one, yes, I have a good relationship with. He lives in England, unfortunately, but yeah.
Okay. We're going to be up against our first break. This hour is going to go by way too fast. Melinda Stoner openly lived a homosexual lifestyle for 30 years, finally returned to the church, and is now in the process of asking God what's right or wrong. She has been celibate for how long?
Oh, goodness gracious.
4 years?
At least.
Okay. And have chosen not to seek a homosexual relationship, but is also asking God, which way do I go? That's today's show, live on RestoringHopeLive.com.
Restoring hope.
All across America, there are countless numbers of people struggling with addiction and other life-controlling issues. Probably someone you know and love. There is a way out. There is hope. Transformations Treatment Center in Delray Beach, Florida, has a unique approach to substance abuse treatment. Call now and ask about our Guaranteed Success program or log on to transformationstreatment.com. Transformations. Change your life, change your relationships, transform your world.
A Marriage Moment with Dr. Mike Hartwig for Marriage Matters Live.
A husband once told us that his wife wanted him to be more romantic, but that she doesn't want him to spend any extra money on her. He wondered what to do. It's easy to get so focused on money that we forget that some of the best things in life are free. If you're on a tight budget, you can forego the movie and dinner and still have a great time with each other. When Leanne and I were in college, we used to go out just about every weekend, and very seldom would we spend a ton of money. We couldn't. Strong couples realize that it's not the activity that you do, but it's being together that is all important. Some of the best times that we've had together is just going to the park or the mall and watching people. Whatever the case, don't fall into the trap that you have to spend a ton of money to have a great date.
This Marriage Moment and Marriage Matters Live is a ministry of Restoring Hope Live, heard Sundays on this station. Restoring Hope. Good things come in threes. You meet your soulmate, you get married, you have your first child together. Good things do come in threes. And Take Shape for Life is no exception. Your free personal health coach, a professional weight loss coach, the Medifast 5-in-1 plan for healthy weight loss, and the Habits of Health system for a lifetime of good health are three of the best gifts you can give yourself. Together, they lead to the healthy weight control that helps you take shape for life. Lose weight safely and quickly with the Medifast 5-in-1 plan, featuring medically formulated, nutritious, and delicious meal replacements by Medifast. You'll choose 5 Medifast meals each day, one every 2 to 3 hours. Because you eat frequently, you're never hungry, and your metabolism stays revved. Many of the Medifast meals are portable, so you can fit this diet into even the busiest lifestyle. You also get one lean and green meal to eat at the time that works best for you. For the lean, you'll have lean protein. The green is servings of low glycemic vegetables. Depending on your source of protein, you'll get some healthy fat too, and that'll help keep you full and satisfied. While Medifast meals are delicious and nutritionally sound, don't think you'll be committed to meal replacements forever. The 5-in-1 plan is just the first phase of our program. In the transition phase, you'll begin to add more fruits, vegetables, and protein. And on maintenance, you're ready. Optimal health is yours. To speak to a personal health coach, go to RestoringHopeLive.com and click on the Take Shape for Life tab. Then let us know about your healthy new lifestyle and how good you look and feel. And thanks for listening to Restoring Hope Live. That's RestoringHopeLive.com.
Today, millions are struggling with alcohol or drug addiction. If you or people you know struggle with a chemical dependency where a substance owns you, and you have other struggles such as depression, anxiety, or trauma that can often go along with it, get your freedom back and successfully transform your life from one controlled by addiction to a clean, sober, fulfilling life. Contact Transformations Treatment Center, where our caring professionals will help you find your freedom. Transformations Treatment Center offers both a 12-step and a Christian 12-step program, providing healing for the mind, body, and spirit. Take the first step by visiting transformationstreatment.com or by calling 877-989-8223 today. At Transformations Treatment Center, we understand the pain. Call now, 877-989-8223. Get your freedom back. Transform your world.
Restoring hope. Open my heart to sing. Taking the darkness inside. Revealing your light. Restoring hope.
19 minutes past the hour on RestoringHopeLive.com. We hope you heard those messages from Transformations. They are our partner. They are a Christ-centered treatment center, and they deal with life hurts, habits, and hang-ups. Yes, most of it is alcohol and drugs, but it's also food disorders. It is also people searching for their identity, people who are struggling with depression, who are struggling with weight loss, who are struggling. And Transformations is an amazing campus in Florida. One of the reasons we chose Transformations is they're mid-priced. Some treatment centers can be $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 for 6-8 weeks. Transformations is much more reasonable, and plus has complete insurance backup for you. So if you know anybody, if it's you, make sure you check out Transformations on our website at restoringhopelive.com. Dr. And Pastor Mike Hartwig in the house today, along with our good friend Brian Leach, as Bob Montserrat and I welcome Melinda Stoner, who lived a open homosexual lifestyle for 30 years. Now, when you say 30 years, what does that go back to? Does that go back to when you're 5?
21.
21.
I came out at 21.
So but from the age of 5 to 20, from the age of 5 to what? You were sexually molested within your own family?
It's about, I think it was 14, I think 16. I think it was 16.
And 16, excuse me, at that point, were you having relationships with men still, or was it just down to women?
Oh, no, still with men. I didn't have many, but most of the relationships that I had was, well, I guess even after that, I'd have to get high or use drugs or do something in order to have sexual relationships with men. And
but not with women.
Oh, no. And I just didn't like sex. I've never liked it. It hurt. It was ugly. And a friend of mine would take me out, and she and I'd go out and try to get laid. She tried to help me to overcome the dislike for sex. So, I'd use cocaine or whatever, and we'd go out and party all night and try to get laid. And I just never liked it. So I didn't have it often. But
where was what was your spiritual identity at this point? Throughout you growing up and until you're
as a
16.
child, I think I was very, very close to God. And I think at some point, probably, my mom says I turned into a beast probably around 14. I think something happened, and I lost that. But God always protected me. I mean, I'm going to tell you, He protected my heart. If He hadn't, I wouldn't be here today.
Okay.
God's always been involved in my life.
Did you
whether
go
I
to
knew
church
it or not.
anywhere? Were you going to church anywhere?
As a family, we did not, because the church really turned against my family at one point. They blamed my folks for their own miscarriage because they didn't come to church regularly. That's why they miscarried.
Okay.
So we didn't go to church.
So
on
they
a
went to a
regular
church,
basis.
and then what I hear you saying is that they would come back and
They
say,
were condemned, and we stopped going.
Yeah.
And so I would seek churches. I would drive my bike, ride my bike, walk, whatever, and go to churches throughout a lot of my life, trying to find answers and trying to find God. And it wasn't until I was about 18 years old when my brother died. I really went into a deep depression with alcohol and very depressed when my little brother died. He and I had just started to have a really good relationship.
How
And
did he pass?
Yeah, but
car
this
accident.
Car accident.
But this is a brother that was molesting you, right?
No, he was the one that had stopped. He was the one I told on.
Oh, he stopped it.
He did stop. He was the one
But-
that kind of took me around the neighborhood a little bit when we were younger.
But there's no remorse. I mean, there's no. You didn't hold it against him that he was doing that.
No, I love my family. I love my family completely, 100%.
And did you think that was normal at that time?
No, I think I didn't. I mean, it's a struggle for me. I'm going to be honest. It's one of those I don't know. I remember my mother telling me if anybody ever touches you where they shouldn't, you tell me. If somebody ever does these kind of things to you, you need to tell me. You need to let me know.
So something's going off in your head. Wait, my brother.
It is.
Yeah.
But you got to understand, at 7 years old, at 8 years old, at 15 years old, when you've already had this going on,
Right.
somebody isn't your brother. Anybody isn't your brother. It isn't your dad. It isn't your
Right.
uncle. It isn't your mom.
Right.
Somebody is, Brian Leach that you just met on the street. Somebody is,
Right.
Pastor. What's your name?
Mike. Yeah, Mike.
Pastor
Yeah,
Mike.
it doesn't matter. Yeah.
Somebody is Mac. Somebody isn't somebody close.
Tell me what that somebody. I lost you on that. That somebody is
It's a
what?
stranger. It's somebody else. It's not your family.
What she heard.
Who is molesting
From
you?
her mother's coaching, my mother said,
Somebody.
don't ever let anybody do this. You tell me if something like this happens, and anybody and somebody, that language is too general, and the connector wasn't made for Mel.
It didn't register to me that somebody could be my brother.
To tell I'm being hurt.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a defense mechanism.
Yeah.
You were defending your brother in your own mind when your mom.
Sure.
Here's what I'm trying to get at is did you intuitively have a sense that what they were doing was wrong?
Absolutely, because
Okay.
we always had to hide it, right?
Right.
So-
exactly.
Yeah, right.
And then you knew
Absolutely.
enough to tattle.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
You don't want to be a tattle. I
Right.
mean, yeah.
Do you hold your mom and dad against?
I have been angry at my mom and dad.
Yeah.
I'm not really angry at anybody anymore. Honestly,
Right.
I'm not. To some degree, I'm grateful. I got a huge story with this whole thing and with God, but this is part of my story with God.
Right.
And it's part of where I'm supposed to be. So
Right.
I'm not really angry. God protected me.
Right.
And shielded
Did
me
you look
through
at your
this.
dad and think, why isn't he stepping in here? He
No.
needs to step in.
And they didn't have a clue. I'm going to tell you what.
Right.
This little girl, I just know.
Right.
No.
Okay, so you're 21, and
Yep.
what happens from there?
When I'm 21, I came out as gay, and my family loved me. They accepted me. They weren't thrilled.
Was that because you met a girl? Or did you just
Actually, when
you
I was
came out gay
18,
by yourself?
when I was 18, I got involved in what people at that time considered a religious cult, the Way International,
Okay.
whom I've still based most of my foundation on, my religious understanding.
But why do you say it's a cult?
I don't.
Oh, okay.
People at that time in 1980s, the church wasn't
Sure.
really well received, and I definitely biblical research and teaching was not well received.
Right.
You
Right.
know?
Right. Well,
You do that, you're kind of strange.
right.
So they were considered a cult at that time. And they taught me a lot. And I found God at that time. But I was always a tomboy. Now, I was always a tomboy, you know. And I came from money. So money means nothing to me. So I would buy people.
You came from money. In other words, your mom and
My
dad
mom
had
and dad
lots
had
of
money.
Right.
So I would buy, we'd go out to dinner and I'd buy. Or we'd go for drinks and I'd buy. And if I was with a girl, I'd open the car door. I'd treat a woman the way a woman should be treated. And in my mind, because I didn't see it happening in the world. So I think it was the beginning formations of my coming out,
Right.
because I didn't like the way I saw women being treated.
Right.
And the way that women were sex objects back in that time, the playboys and the things I heard men talk about. I didn't like it. So I
you
treated
took-
women differently
You took on almost a male role
to some degree. And so the way you asked me.
in treating women.
Yep.
And women
But
like
not
that.
not that I was sexually attracted to them even at that time, that I knew it. It was just I loved them. It didn't matter if they were. I loved people. I loved people. But
Nicely said, by the
they
way.
then asked me if I was gay.
That's great.
They asked me if I was gay a lot, and homosexuality was becoming big in the 80s, and so they had a lot of teachings on it. And one of the teachings said that people who were incested oftentimes turned to homosexuality. Was one of the teachings. And I remember being in Perkins up there on 86th Street crying how grateful I was that God had protected me, that I wasn't gay, having been molested. And then as the things went on, another year went on or so, I decided, I'd been out witnessing and doing different things, and we'd been in a gay bar, and somewhere I just started to get distancing from them. And they, the whole, are you gay? Are you sure you're not gay? Yeah. And I'd also fallen short on a promise that I'd made. I went to Florida to be a missionary, and I didn't stay the full year I was supposed to stay. So I think that began to shift me. And so then I questioned my homosexuality and thought, I'm just going to go try it because I'm not happy anywhere else. I have to use drugs. I have to use alcohol. I'm still using drugs and alcohol, even though I'm in the church.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
They didn't know that.
They did, and just I don't know if they. Yeah, I think they did. I think they did. I'm pretty open about most things.
But they I mean, that's not part of their teaching.
Well, no, they weren't. They weren't opposed to people drinking, and they shouldn't be. I mean, you can drink.
Right.
You can do what you need to do, and then in moderation. But I mean, that you don't smoke. It wasn't like we'd go to a meeting and sit down and drink and have drugs. You know what I'm saying? That wasn't part of it. But
So you came back.
So I wanted to get rid of those, and I thought, why not try gay? Can't hurt. And I went and had my first experience at 21 with a woman. And when I left her house, as I'm walking down the street, I felt the disconnect from God for the first time in my life. Whether I was drug or anything, none of that stuff ever felt disconnected, even though I didn't know what it felt like to be connected to God. And this is something I've kind of pieced together as I've learned more about God. But as I'm walking down the street, I felt transparent that everybody who looked at me looked at me and saw that I had just had a lesbian experience. And I was so ashamed, which at that point, it was so hard to face people, which is where then I think a lot of gay people are in your face is what we hear. Mm-hmm. You have to, because if you feel so exposed and vulnerable, you become a little bit more defensive, and you're going to protect yourself. And you put on whatever you have to protect yourself. And I did.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think people are so defensive like that?
Because you feel vulnerable. If you're vulnerable, you sometimes want to defend
vulnerable
yourself.
From what?
I was transparent. The people looked at me and saw that I'd had a homosexual experience.
But if it's a neutral thing, why would they be?
Because this world today...
Well, and it wasn't neutral because she said she felt shame.
Right.
I felt shame because that's the way the world is, though.
So do you think that shame is coming from the world?
It's what you've learned.
Okay.
It's interesting. It kind of reminds me of when Adam and Eve bit from the tree of the forbidden fruit, and all of a sudden they felt vulnerable. They felt naked.
Yes.
They felt like everybody could see them.
That's exactly
and
what I'm
God
talking
said,
about, Mac.
"Why are you hiding?"
But that's only if it's wrong.
But they knew it was wrong.
So you're saying homosexuality is wrong?
That's what. And yeah, if you grow up in this, and you grew up in America, circa 1960 up, you are taught it's wrong.
Okay.
What does God
Everything
say?
that you
Yeah, but what does God say?
What is
You're
God
saying
I
say
didn't
about
ask
that?
God at that time.
How do we work within that identity? That's coming up next at Restoring Hope.
All across America, there are countless numbers of people struggling with addiction and other life-controlling issues. Probably someone you know and love. There is a way out. There is hope. Transformations Treatment Center in Delray Beach, Florida, has a unique approach to substance abuse treatment. Call now and ask about our Guaranteed Success program or log on to transformationstreatment.com. Transformations. Change your life. Change your relationships. Transform your world.
So, I'm a dog, and I'm kind of new to this family, but I've noticed a trend. My humans do this thing where they go around and get all my toys and hide them in this basket, but it's always the same basket, and it's always the same place. And then they act so surprised when I find them, but I'm like, hello, that's where you put it last time. Humans are the worst at hide and go seek.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
So, Jacqueline.
Yes, Mom?
I wanted to talk to you about something, and... Oh, wait. Hold on. I just got a text. Oh, there's another one. Wow. Busy me. So, anyway...
Oh, wait, Mom. I just got a message. My friends keep commenting on my comment. Oh, there's another one. So many comments on my comment.
Oh, I can't wait to watch TV tonight. Playoffs!
Hey, guys, check out my new video game. Pew, pew. Wait, Mom, what? Huh?
What? Hold
What'd
on.
you say? Wait a second, what?
This weekend, unplug. Take your family to the forest. There's nothing in the world like experiencing nature firsthand. Trees, paths, bluebirds, streams. Getting closer to nature can get you closer to your family. To find the forest nearest you, go to discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
The Pocket Testament League presents Pocket Power. Read, carry, and share the gospel every day.
Talking with strangers is exactly opposite my personality. Very difficult and immensely stressful. But how can I keep quiet? Yesterday was the first time I've went with people from my church specifically for evangelism.
This is Mike Brickley, president of the Pocket Testament League. League members have found that any place is a good place to share a pocket gospel with someone they meet. Join us and you'll always be ready. Is there anything more important?
As we talked with people, I watched their faces change. Suspicion became interest. Interest turned to concern. Concern to guilt. But guilt became surprise and amazement. Thank you for helping me share the best gift I've been given.
What are you waiting for? Read, carry, and share the gospel every day. For more information, call 1-800-636-8785 or visit pocketpower.org. That's pocketpower.org.
Here's Dan Celia with today's Stewardship Moment.
It's always amazing to me that only 3 to 4% of Christians tithe. Listen to Ezekiel 44:30. The best of all the first fruits of your special gifts will belong to the priest. You are to give them first portions of your ground meal so that a blessing may rest on your household. It is clear that God in His Word wants us to give first fruits. And I'm sure as I do, you pray for God's blessing upon your household and your family. And as you pray for that blessing, do you give to Him what is rightfully His?
You've just heard a Stewardship Moment with Dan Celia of Financial Issues Ministry, helping you plan, give, and invest wisely. For more information, log on to financialissues.org. That's financialissues.org.
Restoring hope, open my heart to sing, taking the darkness inside, revealing your light, restoring hope.
All right, 26 before the top, and this is RestoringHopeLive.com. We are going to bypass our normal 45 break and keep that 4 minutes to ourselves today. Just remember that our main sponsor is Transformation Treatment Centers. I need you to write those folks down. Remember our website at RestoringHopeLive.com. That's how you connect to Transformations. We are so blessed to be partnered with a Christ-centered treatment center down in Florida that will help people with life's hurts, habits, and hang-ups. Anything they are. Not just alcohol, not just drugs, not just depression, not just food allergies, not just food ailments, but depression, everything.
I got to tell a story here. Can I tell a story? I had the opportunity to refer somebody onto a treatment center. They ended up spending about $30,000, okay, with this treatment center. And I can tell you about a year and a half later, didn't work. Didn't work. It was a waste of money.
So the moral of the story
what I
is,
wish they would have done is called transformation.
Yeah, you gotta know who they are. I mean, you're sending your loved one onto this journey, and you've got to know who they are. And it can't be just a fancy website. It's got to be people. You know, I don't do business with places. I do business with people. I do business with the people at Transformations. I chose Transformations because of the people they are. So Mike's got a good point. All right, here's the very gentle story that we're walking through. Melinda came from a good family, a God-centered family, many siblings. From the age of 5 or 6, was sexually abused by her brothers and then by many other people in the neighborhood. My words, not hers. She became the neighborhood tramp. At late in her teens and early 20s, she decided that she may be homosexual, might be homosexual, came out, worked within churches to try to help people who were struggling with that. But yet you yourself, and this is the question I have for you, you yourself had not yet found the identity that God created you to be, your purpose in life.
My purpose in life, I think God created me was to help people and be a social worker. I think I've always had that, and the caring for people, the love for people. I think, no, I've always had my passion.
Okay, all right. But you didn't know whether you should, here's an important question, whether you are attracted to men or women or should be attracted to men or women.
Yeah, there's a big difference between those two.
Right, and which one was you?
I think I felt I needed to be. I think I was supposed to be.
Attracted to?
Men. I think that's what society has taught me, is I'm supposed to be attracted to men.
I don't want God, forget about society, though. What does God tell you? What does your insides tell you? You are an amazing daughter of a risen king. Mm-hmm. You know him as well as anybody that I know, Melinda. What does it say inside you?
Inside me and for me personally, Mac. And I cannot speak, and I've told you this, I cannot speak that it's right for what my experience doesn't necessarily mean it's the same experience that would be for Brian, should Brian be gay.
And I respect you for that.
Okay? Any other gay person I'm not going to talk about. For my life, I believe at this time, God is saying, let's not pursue the homosexual lifestyle.
Okay.
Well, wait a minute. Let me back up. This is a fundamental point, because what you're saying is that it's right for me or it's wrong for me. And it seems very relativistic.
What I'm trying to say is I only have a relationship with God, and my relationship with God is my relationship. I'm not here to judge Brian. If Brian's doing something else, me to say to him, hey, well, God told me I had to do this, so you need to too.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Is it right or wrong for me to be a murderer?
Well, what is,
you see what I mean?
I do see what you're saying.
I mean, if it's right, it's right. If it's wrong, it's wrong.
I personally don't believe murder is right. Okay, I do not believe murder is right. And yet at the same time, we as Americans do propagate murder all the time on people. And I don't want to get into a political thing. And we call it okay in the name of God.
Right.
So, you know what? Let's not fight that. Let's not go there.
No, I mean, don't get caught up in the point. What I'm interested in is the point of, is there an absolute right or wrong in life?
I believe that God has a relationship with each and every one of us. And that God wants that relationship with each and every one of us. And that we all are going to take our path, and we are all sinners. And God is going to work with us there. And God comes in and he meets us there. And he doesn't judge us. He doesn't condemn us. He doesn't hate us. He doesn't put us in a category, as Max said when we first opened this show up, those people. So, he doesn't put us in a those people category. But, okay?
But the question I have is God, you said God doesn't condemn us. So is there a hell?
Oh, yes. I'm saying that God doesn't come in there and condemn us and say, well, like the woman who's an adulteress. He didn't throw the stone. He didn't say, well, yeah, you're doing this.
But he did condemn the Pharisees and the Sadducees.
Did he?
He did. You brood of vipers.
Oh, yeah. He told them they were wrong. He said, I don't like this. This isn't okay, but you should love them.
Right.
And if we're coming out of love, to me, I guess that's the basis. It's coming out of love.
Does a loving God send people to hell?
No, God doesn't send people to hell. People send people to hell.
Okay.
Choice.
What we're trying to get at is there?
I don't know what you're trying to get.
What I'm trying to get at is there a basis for right and wrong, or is this relative?
Well, there is a basis for right and wrong, but God's mercy covers all the wrong.
Absolutely.
And God's grace covers all the wrong. Now, unless you blaspheme and deny God in your life, then you're going to go to heaven and spend eternity with Jesus and God, no matter what your sins are.
What she's saying is that for me, homosexuality is wrong. For you, it may be okay.
What I'm saying to you is that I threw a fleece to God for my life because I'm going to a church that does not necessarily believe homosexuality is okay. So I threw a fleece to God, and I said, God, if the next person I fall in love with is a man, so be it. If the next person I fall in love with is a woman, so be it. And if I don't fall in love again, okay, I guess that's what you want, right? I'm going to be Paul. I'm going to abstain. But it's up to you, because it doesn't matter what Pastor Mike thinks. It doesn't matter what Mac thinks or Brian thinks. It doesn't matter what Melinda thinks or what we feel is the best for me or the best for my life.
You just gave a contradiction, though.
It doesn't matter what any of us think. The only person that matters what thinks is God. So me and God have this relationship, and God's going to tell me what he wants me to do.
But what if God tells us that homosexuality is wrong for everybody?
Well, God tells us a lot of things are wrong for everybody, and we as a people don't believe it.
Okay.
Divorce and remarriage is wrong.
Right.
But we as a people wink at that.
Okay, but
the wink sins.
Absolutely.
Oh, you're cheating on your wife. I'll come to church.
Yeah.
Oh, you're an alcoholic. Oh, come to church.
It's okay. Yeah.
It's all right.
But that's not an abomination, but gay is.
Right.
No.
I think that's a fundamental issue in this whole thing is there an absolute standard of right and wrong?
Sure, and I think none of us measure up to the right.
Exactly.
Right.
We're all
okay,
wrong.
Good.
We're
good.
all wrong.
It doesn't matter.
So it doesn't matter what the sin is or
That's
what the issue is.
It doesn't matter right and wrong. All it matters. It doesn't matter because God's grace covers it all.
Yeah, we as a people have a tendency based upon the times of where we're at, this 100 years or the last 100 years or the next 100 years of identifying certain sins as being greater than another, even Christians. So, we know scripturally that there is no sin that is greater than another. He who has,
But my point is she's not saying homosexuality is a sin.
You didn't ask her that. Is homosexuality a sin?
I don't know that.
Okay.
I don't know that.
Okay.
I know that for me, God is telling me at this point in time.
It is a sin. For
I don't
you,
want
it's a
you.
sin.
No, I didn't say it was a sin. I said for me at this point in time, God doesn't want me going down that path.
Okay.
And I say that because, as I told you, I had a physiological experience when I had my first homosexual encounter. In 2008, a friend of mine who was also a lesbian, who I brought back to church with me because she came out with me. She's coming back with me when I came back to God. She denounced homosexuality, and I did not. I threw a fleece. She denounced. While we're in the basement at Hope, she says to me, well, I may have denounced homosexuality, but when I see a cute woman, I still go woo, woo, woo. And I used to smoke. And now if somebody lights a cigarette, my stomach turns. And when she said that, my stomach turned as if somebody had lit a cigarette.
In a negative way.
In a negative way.
Okay.
And it was like, wow, wait a second. Where did that come from? At first it shocked me. Where did that come from? I didn't expect that physiological response. But it questions me as to whether or not I had this physiological response now coming back into God's graces. It's like I had one leaving and I have one coming back. And I feel that that's his choice for me.
I think we do need to recognize that Mela is in a tender part of the journey. We're talking 2-3 years in. So I think we do need to recognize that. You've shared with me just within the last year and a half, 2 years, it wasn't very long ago that you chose celibacy and you've renounced this lifestyle as a message from God, and that there's a very vulnerable spot still here. We're talking a lifetime of wounds that are not healed overnight.
And it's not just the lifetime of wounds. Brian, I probably have come out with you, and I probably would take a stauncher, for my own life view with you. But I watched so many hateful things being said to and about the gay community and the gay people and putting them in such a horrible place that I am very defensive because I love them. I don't care if they're gay. I want them to know the Lord that I know. And if they have a change like I do, praise God. And if they don't and God says, no, that's okay where they're at, then praise God. But that's not for me to tell them. And I hate the fact that people are constantly trying to box people in. Don't we keep saying take God out of a box?
Melinda Stoner is our guest today. She is a fearful daughter of a risen king who has faced the most difficult social issues of our time. And that is, who did God make me to be? And also, how do I fit into a society that doesn't necessarily walk like Jesus walks, with love, mercy, and grace, but instead with texts, with Bible verses, with condemnation. Now, Is homosexuality wrong according to the Bible? Of course it is. Of course it is. You can't read the Bible and not come up with that scripture. So's divorce. And I've been divorced. And that's tough for me. And the problem wasn't the divorce. The problem was the marriage. And I've said many times, and this is why Mike Hartwig and Mike takes the lead on this. I get the cool job of being his wingman. But this is why one of the missions of this ministry is to help build marriage, because marriage matters. I think we should make it much, much harder to get married, because I think there would be fewer people that would choose to not be married anymore and divorced and break families up and ruin the lives of children. Because really, divorce ruins the lives of children. I've got 4 children. We are a mixed family, and divorce has impacted us in a very negative way, even though those divorces came almost 25 years ago, and it is still impacting our children. Now, I'm gonna throw a challenge out to you.
Sure.
You said you threw a fleece out to God.
Yep.
When you told me that when that woman went, ooh,
Yep.
when I look at girls, here's what I heard. I heard the answer to your prayer.
Mm-hmm.
I heard the Holy Spirit coming in and saying, that doesn't feel good, does it? There you go. That's what I intend for you.
And that is why I don't really call myself a homosexual anymore. And I mean, I've changed looks. I've changed the way I dress. I've changed pretty much everything I do. And it was hard to do, Mac, because people don't really, well, you guys may understand this, but there is a mentality. It doesn't matter, if you're black, you have a different way of thinking than you do if you're white, because of what's been thrown at you.
I call that a worldview.
Okay. If you're gay, I mean, you think differently. And as a gay person trying to pass as a man, I know a lot about the way men think that a lot of women don't. I know more. Men would share with me things you wouldn't believe a man would share with a woman. Okay. I know a lot more about how men think than I do women think. And to come back out into a straight world, it took me, I got suicidal. I went through 2 years of depression. I'm just coming back out. It's been very, very hard for me to try to rethink and reprogram my brain to be able to socialize with people, because I still don't think the way they all think, the way, I think straight people think. It's hard for me to walk into a room. I don't go into a room and look at men or women as sexual beings anymore. I just walk into people to people. I'm back to that abstinence.
What blank worldview? What is your blank worldview? I have a biblical worldview. I believe that, and I'm going to get in trouble for saying this, but I believe people who live in poverty and can't see a way out of it, and it's the generation after generation after generation, I believe they live in a victim worldview. I believe there are people out there who have really never been held accountable for their consequences, and so they live in an entitlement worldview. What worldview is Melinda trying to live in? Or what is the worldview she's living in?
My worldview, I think, is just love. I mean, honestly, everything for me comes back to love. It's the solid foundation, which comes from God. God is love. And
your God is the God of Abraham. It is the God of Israel. It is the God who brought us Jesus Christ.
It is the Lord and Savior, yes,
okay.
The Father of Jesus Christ.
So there's a parent listening out there today. Mm-hmm. And by the way, you're turning hearts and making people weep all across this nation right now. And as Brian said earlier, the difference you're going to make in people's lives with this opportunity to share, we're probably going to have you back again, because we really didn't get into some of the stuff we did. But you told us about what your life was like. Mm-hmm. You told us about the fleece and you going to God and saying, what do you want? What's your life like now? What is your ministry, your passion? Where does that love pour out of you?
Like I said, I'm just sort of coming back into life after having a real crash, and my passion is still people. It's love. It's I can't get enough of that. I want to serve God's people. My passion is wanting to help, and it's not just homosexuals, but there's homosexuals. It's the people with suicide. There's so many people out there that think that there's not an answer, that they can't change. They can't change what's in front of them. My passion today is to serve God in that way, to help people know that it doesn't matter what their issue is, there is an answer, and I'll walk through it with you. Don't kill yourself. Don't go to drugs and alcohol. Don't, you know what I'm saying? I don't care what you are. I just want to help people to know God, to know love.
Do you know Melissa Dale? who runs Celebrate Recovery?
I've met her, yes.
Your passion sounds like something you should be right beside her, because that's the same passion she has. You know, you went to Christmas services.
Yes.
Come on home.
Yep.
Come on home was the message.
Yep.
I don't care where you've been. I don't care what you've done. And we use the prodigal son was the example, which is what, Matthew?
I thought it was Luke.
Luke, okay.
Yeah.
Well, you would know. I wouldn't. You're the pastor. That here's the son who has stayed, who has not spent his inheritance, who has stayed loyal to his father on the farm, but yet the son that spoiled and went out and pursued his own sinful ways, when he came back, what was his father's reaction? Come, get the fatted calf, put a ring on his finger, get the best robe around him. That's the message I think that we as Christians need to put out there for people who are living with sin, which we all are.
Absolutely.
And I get as mad as you do when somebody wants to make one sin worse than the other. And I think the message we continually need to send is, come on home.
Well, I think to myself, where would Mel's life be if the church that she came across was resistant or judgmental of homosexuality? If they took a stoic traditional stance in, oh, I'm sorry, you're not going to be able to be here, or that God doesn't have love for you unless you renounce this sin and da-da-da. I just imagine where Mel would be if she didn't come into where we are at with open arms, that there is no one sin that is greater than another. We're here to heal. We're here to love each other, love all, and so on. And I think that's one of the messages that Mel has, and what she'll get passionate and frustrated about at the same time, is when we use anything less than love for the sin.
The difficulty here is that, and this happens all the time, but I come from a Baptist background. Baptist churches are known for having a very hard stand on this. The difficulty here is that we see something that is sin. We see a sin. How do we embrace a sin without embracing embrace a sinner without embracing the sin? And so it's easy to go after the sins. Oh, that's wrong. That's wrong. That's wrong. So we beat you up on that and that kind of thing. But the difference here is, and I think so many churches were missing this, and this is the heart of the matter. If I think I'm better than you, and I think this is the heart of the gospel of what Jesus Christ was talking about. Judgmental. And we throw that term around all the time, judgmental. If I think I'm better than you, it's going to impact the way that I relate to you. And as a pastor in one of the churches I was at, I got hauled off in front of the deacon board because of my relationships with some of the gay community. And I was a leader in the early days in this AIDS movement. I've had to bury some very close friends, and the deacons were getting really anxious about this whole thing. But the difficulty here is for people like me. What people heard me saying is that, oh, you love gays and nothing is wrong with gay. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I love the gay community, but I disagree with their activity. And for that, I will do everything I can to rescue them out of that gay community. And to me, that's the issue that we need to be addressing is, I love you. Melinda, I just want you to know that you are a daughter of the King of Zion, and he loves you with an everlasting love. And I would say that if you are actively homosexual right now as well, if you can say that you're a follower of Jesus Christ, he loves you with an everlasting love, and he always will. And my heart goes out to you, the pain that you went through with your brothers, and the people that are around you that would not stand up and say, this is wrong, this is injustice, and we're going to make it right. And now here you're trying to put your life together. It's the right thing to do. But on the other hand, how do we say, wait a minute, those of you who are caught up in the homosexual lifestyle, it's wrong. It leads to destruction. It's an affront to God himself. That activity is wrong.
Mike, do you have any splinters in your eye?
Yeah, of course. I'm not better than you.
I'm not saying you said that. I'm just asking you if you have any splinters in your eye.
No, certainly.
And if you have any splinters in your eye, shouldn't you remove those first?
To which I would say, if I saw you going off a cliff, I'm going to do everything I can, regardless how many things I've got going on in my life. I'm going to try to warn you of that as we engage in life. I'm not better than you.
Okay, but if I don't have somebody looking at the log in my eye, I may not be as willing to jump off that cliff.
Well, that's true. Then we're talking about methods.
If we're looking at our own eyes.
But I think what you're reacting to, and this is what I complain about so many of my conservative friends is that they're so caught up in the sin, and they're forgetting that there are people that are Jesus Christ. And we can beat this horse to death, but
which you have today.
It's something I'm very passionate about, though. It's like we need to be careful that we do it in the right way, but yet we still stand up and say it's wrong.
The point is Jesus was up in arms, and he was completely frazzled by the nature that we still have today, which is, you're a heathen, you've murdered, or you've stolen, or you've cheated on your wife, and Jesus' point was, no, if you look at another woman, that is the same.
Right.
And yes, absolutely. Looking at another woman, okay, I have a beautiful wife and I love her to death. And then if I look at another woman and go, oh, she's pretty hot, boom, Satan's got it.
Adultery.
It's adultery. And it is coveting. The seed is the beginning of, that is the beginning. Even in a heterosexual relationship, that is the beginning of the end. And allowing Satan to get his roothold in there. And there is no difference from that to straight out homosexuality.
Right.
There's no difference because they all end in the same road, which is destruction and death.
And how quickly, like you said, it's just a thought.
If
it's just like that, then Brian, don't you think we should be more consumed with all of us just focusing on our own issue and trying to stay in that close relationship with God than being a Pharisee and telling them what's clean and what is not clean and what's right and what is not right?
I would rather see a sermon than hear one any day.
And focus on our own issue.
And I think it's about the way we live.
And love those people.
All right. Melinda, we're getting short on time here. Okay. So there's a parent out there listening today, and they've got the legal side of the Bible like Dr. Mike has, which everybody respects, but they've also got the loving and heart side of Jesus in loving someone despite their sins and how well or poorly they carry those sins at the end of their sleeves. What do you say to those parents?
Well, really, I don't have to say anything that you haven't already heard. You catch more bees with honey, right? Have you not heard these kind of things?
Yeah, love them.
Love is going to get you further than hate. Love is going to get you further than an axe. Love is going to get you further than a box. You got to get outside the box. God is not stuck in a box. God loves them. You got to love your kid where they are. And you know what? When they feel that they're loved, they may not be turning to the drugs and the alcohol. They may not be going to the pornography. They may not go into sexual sin. Or they may, but at least they know they have a rope back.
Right. They got a way back. And that way back is always love.
It's always love.
And that's what Jesus
where it all
taught.
starts. That's it.
Love comes before law, is what you're telling me.
Love the Lord God with all thy heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love thy neighbor as thyself. In those two commandments, all the rest fall.
Melinda, thanks for being here today. We appreciate it. We look forward to having you come back. Thanks for coming alongside, Brian. I appreciate it. Dr. Mike, Mr. Cat in the Hat, J. Michael McCoy, and, of course, our producers, Maddie and Eric. We will see you again next week live here on a program called Restoring Hope Live. And today, I hope we restored some hope in you that Jesus is King and that God is mercy and that love is the only commandment that we need to follow. Love all of your fellow men. Have a great day.